Hold the bus. A GB News viewer and listener has phoned in, and we're going to pick up on William Pickup, who joins us from Glossop in Derbyshire. William, good to see you again, my friend.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, graffiti. I hate graffiti. I can't stand graffiti. People who say, oh, it's art. It's art. They're only It's never art. It's crap. Right, so basically, where do you stand on graffiti? Isabel is obviously happy to have it over her street.
No.
Not anywhere near me as far as I'm concerned. Right, what do you think about this idea of you give them a scrubbing brush and a bucket of water and they're expected to clear it up within 48 hours?
Well, yes, it sounds impressive, doesn't it? I think that, lives are definitely blighted in some areas, horribly. I think that's entirely right. I think they've nailed that. But I've watched a lot of your show this morning, Eamon and Isabel, and I agree with much of what's been said. My view is, I really think this is presentation over substance. Much of what has been talked about as community action is actually in place already. We already have community sentences that allows for the removal of graffiti. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I'm assured by looking at the community sentencing guidelines, it's in place. The difficulty will be is that shaming individuals by putting them in orange jumpsuits, as I believe was one of Rishi Sunak's suggestions yesterday in the papers, will actually destroy some people. It will work for others. The question of resourcing, how is all this going to be resourced? Now, I know the minister you had on a few minutes ago talked about hotspot funding, I think was the phrase that he used, which means there's very little money. The police are overstretched. We know they don't come to burglaries, which is much more important to people than graffiti, I would suggest. They don't attend those. And the people who are going to have to deliver this with the prisoners, the convictions, are the probation service. And the probation service are failing enormously. It's well documented. They've got 500 vacancies, for example, in London. So I think I would call this a rebrand.
A rebrand, or perhaps politics. It's all about an election coming next year, and you're seeing Sir Keir Starmer effectively parking his tanks on the lawn of the Conservative Party, saying, hang on a minute, I was the chief prosecutor, I know about law and order, vote Labour. And the Conservatives thinking, hang on a minute, we need to toughen up our position on a lot of things that affect our voters.
I think that absolutely nails it, Isabel. It's really more words, and if you look behind it, virtually all of this is already in place. What's worrying is because we know the courts are full, people who have been sentenced to court haven't been able to go. They've had to be released by the courts. This was reported last week. So what they're doing, I think they're warming us up to the idea that community sentencing, which is already in place, is actually a really tough alternative, and they're going to do lots more of this action because they know the prisons are full and won't be able to send people there.
I don't know if you've seen the reports this morning about strip searches on children. 3,000 kids between 2018 and mid-2020 had been searched, more than half without an appropriate adult present. What's your view on that this morning?
I think that's simply horrific. I agree with everything you said before, Isabel. It's just unacceptable.
I suppose the defence is that if these kids are up to no good, and some people saying carrying drugs, then you have to search them. But when the Children's Commissioner comes out and says this is keeping her awake at night, and this provision should only be used in life or death situations, you've got to sit up and take notice of that, haven't you?
Yeah, how difficult will it be to get some sort of responsible adult from probation or from the social services to be there to look after the interests of the child and protect the people who are doing this, because they're at high risk as well of accusations?
Well, William, we always...
No, just before you go, this laughing gas situation, like Glossop, nice part of the world, very lovely part of the world, quite genteel. Are you plagued with little canisters around the streets or not? Have you seen them, William?
I have seen them, but I don't think we're plagued by it. I've seen them occasionally in dark corners and on under sort of bridges and things like that. But no, we're not plagued by it. But I know some areas really are. But I've never witnessed anybody who looked like they've been on laughing gas.
Yeah. Well, you see, the thing is, are you more outraged about them dumping the canisters in the street or the fact that they're using laughing gas? Because we're trying to work out do they go and mug people or break into houses after they take laughing gas, or is it a sort of benign use of a substance?
I've no real knowledge on whether it's a sort of a gateway into more criminality or even worse drug use. But really, if it was my children, I would be worried. I don't have children, but if I did have them, I would be really worried if they started using this. So the banning of it is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, the thing is, none of us seem to know whether it is or what isn't, or who's thought
Well,
this
the
up.
Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs might, have some expertise in this field, and they recommended against banning it. And, a lot of right-wingers aren't usually in favour of banning things. So I'm surprised that they've taken this decision. But, William, always good to get your views. Thank you very much. I want to give a final thought to Tom Slater in all of this. Are you surprised to see the government banning things?
Oh, not at all. I mean, because as you say, whilst people on the right often talk a good game on freedom, the one exception is usually drugs. Even the fact that I think this prohibitive approach has failed time and time again.